back to the chat for you. What should the Titans do with Treylon Burks? What's everybody saying on Facebook and on YouTube?
Well, Dylan on YouTube wants Treylon Burks to introduce himself to the bench. Eric Castillo says nothing you can really do with Burks. Mike Key said it best. You can't have too many receivers. Deborah says it's simple. Burks has to prove that he deserves a spot, and there is going to be a chip on Burks' shoulder. There's no doubt about it. If he's on the roster when training camp gets going. DeMario says it means nothing. Jermel says Burks is done after this season. David says he's a backup. Devin says nothing. He'll be in the rotation, hopefully in the slot. Wait and see. Keep him. Special teams from Mark D. RIP from Chris Frazier. Hold on to Burks, says David Brown. We've got a trade from Josh, trade from Dion, nothing from Deshaun. Burks gets traded to the Steelers, is what J. Rome Hurd thinks. Make him earn it. Trade him. It's his last shot. Nothing. It means run. It's competition, which could be great. Nothing. He's the new number 4. Keep him. He's got youth going for him. A depth. Put him in the slot. Another slot answer. Phillips is before Burks. He misses more than half the season. He's gone. Trade to get younger players. Let him compete and work his butt off. Trade him. So Pittsburgh is calling, says Lou Man. So a lot of trade answers. Austin, I'm going to go the other way with this one, though. I understand that teams will probably be putting in calls for Treylon Burks because why wouldn't you, right? Former first-round pick. He's still really young. He's still really cheap. Maybe you can hit a home run with a guy that one team might have given up on, but I don't think they have. You want a definitive answer before you move on from Treylon Burks, and they don't have that yet. He's missed 12 games in 2 seasons. He hasn't worked out of the slot, which is where he was primarily used in college. At Arkansas, 77% of his snaps came out of the slot. In the NFL, he's only lined up in the slot 20% of his snaps. So that's something you haven't really experimented with yet. I don't want to see Treylon Burks move until they've tried everything with him. He's a first-round talent, man. He's physically gifted. He's a beast. But he just hasn't been able to put it all together mentally and physically. We know how gifted he is physically, but he hasn't been reliable out there. And to me, there's a little part inside of me that believes there could still be something in Treylon Burks. And if there's even an inkling in Rand Carthon's mind or Brian Callahan's mind that Treylon Burks can develop a little bit more and turn into a dynamic option, maybe it's out of the slot, then I think you owe it to yourselves to hold on to him. What's the point in trading a stock if you're trading it at its yearly low? And that's where Treylon Burks is right now. You don't have to rush to move him. You have until next season to really make a decision on him because you got him for 2 more years. He's only got a $3.9 million cap hit this season, so he's not costing you a whole lot to keep. And as a fourth option, I think that's a decent fit for the Titans. Look, Treylon Burks has to prove it this year. He's got to go out and earn it. And this is going to put a big chip on his shoulder, like I said. But I would be hesitant to move on from him right now when the Titans don't really have a clear-cut answer on the type of player that he is. I get it, the injury issues are bothersome, but I still think you owe it to yourselves to see at least wait for 1 more year. And the other thing, like Tyler Boyd comes in, experience out of the slot in Brian Callahan's system. And he's only here for 1 year. So if there's a guy to learn from and how to be efficient out of the slot in the Brian Callahan system, maybe it's Tyler Boyd. And maybe you can get Treylon Burks up to speed to where next season you can count on him in the slot. It would be foolish for Tennessee to bank on Treylon Burks this season, which is why you go out and get Boyd. But I'm not ready to trade Treylon Burks.
I agree. I think it would be dumb to trade Treylon Burks because you nailed it. You nailed one of the points that I was going to say. You've got DeAndre Hopkins and Tyler Boyd on expiring contracts. Both will be over 30 at the end of their deals. You need some wide receivers for 2025 that have camaraderie and chemistry with Will Levis. And Ridley's going to be here. Maybe D-Hop gets extended. Hey, maybe it goes great with Tyler Boyd and he gets extended for another year. I don't know. The Titans will have money on the other side of this season as well. Not quite as much as they had this past offseason, but they will still have plenty of cap space to do that. I don't think trading Treylon Burks makes any sense. One, I don't think you're going to get anything more than a 6th or 7th round pick. Hell, Isaiah Wilson, you got a 7th round pick for him by the Dolphins, but he was a rookie at that point. He was
and
just
you
a
had
knucklehead.
Your definitive answer. You had your definitive answer on Isaiah Wilson.
Yeah, I know, but like I was thinking about that going back to that. Like that was Isaiah Wilson was not It's crazy. But at that time, 4 months into Isaiah Wilson's pro career, he had more trade value, I think, than Treylon Burks going into year 3. Because we've seen Treylon Burks on the field. At that point, we had not seen Isaiah Wilson play like tackle. He played extra point and kick team, field goal team.
Yeah, and he
right?
wasn't very good at that either. Yeah.
But again, you're going to get a 7th round pick for Treylon Burks. I think the upside of seeing if the Titans under this new staff can figure it the hell out with Treylon Burks is way more important than a 7th round pick in the 2025 NFL draft. I think you're on the same lines.
Yeah, I mean, Titans fans, you can't tell me that if the Titans move on from Treylon Burks, maybe they send him to Pitt. Let's hypothetically say Treylon Burks goes to Pittsburgh and the Titans get, a new washing machine in return for him. You can't tell me you're not going to be box score watching all season, because we know what Treylon Burks was in college. There's a good player somewhere in there. I don't know if this coaching staff is capable of bringing it out yet, but Treylon Burks has to do his part too. He has to stay on the field. And, you guys, Austin, y'all were out there last training camp. Y'all were fired up by what you saw in Burks. But it doesn't matter this offseason, right? It's got to happen on Sundays. I hesitate to get rid of him without knowing for sure what he can be. And with the A.J. Brown debacle going on, what if you get rid of Treylon Burks and he emerges into an 850-yard guy somewhere else? Like that, those type of guys in the NFL are very useful. So I want to hold on to Treylon Burks. There's no point in getting rid of him now. Circle back next year and have this conversation, because, hey, maybe he puts up 400, 500 yards and you can get a 5 instead of a 7 for him. Then maybe you have that conversation about moving on. But there's no need to rush into a trade.
Yeah. You said something earlier that Treylon Burks is a first-round talent. I don't think he is. I think he's got a first round body. I think he has first round.
He's physicality, like his physical traits.
He's not physical though. Like,
that's the problem, right?
Physical guy catches the 50-50 balls at 65% of the time. I feel like Treylon Burks is a 30% 50-50 ball catcher. Like where DeAndre Hopkins is like a 75% 50-50 ball catcher. And that's where Will Levis is going to throw a bunch of those things up there for grabs. He's going to play jackpot a lot, like he did outside the elementary playground. DeAndre Hopkins wins jackpot. Treylon Burks does not. Treylon Burks catches the one, and then they say handcuffs, and then now Treylon Burks having to do this the rest of the game.